Hey guys, Dr. Emily Carter. It's always good to see you again. You know, I spend a lot of time on this channel talking about the big stuff: prostate health, testosterone, keeping your body strong as you age. But today, I want to talk about something a little more personal, something that almost every man thinks about, but very few ever talk about openly. We're going to talk about foreplay. Now, before you scroll past or think, "Oh, that's not really for me," I want you to hear me out. Because this might be one of the most important conversations you'll ever have about your intimate health. Here's the truth. The quality of your intimate life affects everything: your confidence, your energy, even your heart health. And after years of working with men and couples in their 50s, 60s, and beyond, I've noticed one thing. Most men aren't bad lovers. They're just misunderstanding what foreplay really means. So today, I'm going to share what women secretly crave. Something that has nothing to do with performance and everything to do with connection. And trust me, it's probably not what you think. So let's start with a simple question. When you hear the word foreplay, what comes to mind? For most men, it's a kind of checklist, right? A few kisses, some touching, maybe a little bit of stimulation, something you get through before the main event. But that's exactly where things go wrong. Because for many women, especially as we age, foreplay isn't the warm-up. It is the experience. It's not just physical, it's emotional, it's psychological. It's about feeling desired, safe, and truly seen. You see, men and women experience arousal very differently. For most men, desire is like a light switch: fast, visual, direct. But for women, it's more like building a fire. It starts small, with sparks of warmth, and it grows through care, attention, and emotional connection. And here's the problem. When you rush, when you treat foreplay as something you do rather than something you share, you skip the part that actually creates desire. I can't tell you how many couples I've seen who come to me saying we've lost the spark. But what they've really lost isn't passion, it's patience. Because real foreplay isn't about getting to the goal faster. It's about slowing down enough to feel again, to breathe together, to connect again, not as two people performing a routine, but as two souls remembering what closeness actually feels like. So here it is, the number one trick, the shift that changes everything. It's not a move, it's not a technique, it's not something you can learn from a magazine. It's this: remove the expectation of intercourse. I know, it sounds counterintuitive. You might be thinking, wait, Emily, but isn't that the point? But hear me out. When you take away that silent pressure, that unspoken expectation that it has to lead somewhere, you change the entire energy between you and your partner. The air in the room softens, the tension melts. Suddenly, you're not two people working toward an outcome. You're two people simply being together. For women, that moment, that space where there's no demand, no pressure, is where true desire starts to grow. Because now she feels safe, she feels chosen, she feels seen, not for what her body can provide, but for who she is. And when that happens, everything changes. When you remove the goal, you rediscover the connection. I've seen it happen time and time again. A man tells me, "I thought I had to perform to make it perfect." But when he stopped trying to achieve and started to experience, his partner relaxed. The spark returned, and suddenly intimacy became playful again, not pressured. Because here's the truth most men never hear. Foreplay isn't about getting somewhere, it's about being there. When you shift from "I need to please her" to "I want to be with her," you stop treating closeness like a checklist and start treating it like a dance. No rush, no finish line, just two people moving, feeling, and discovering each other again, maybe for the first time in years. All right, now that you understand the mindset, let's make it real. Presence is more powerful than any touch. When you're with her, be with her. not half listening, not thinking about your phone, not planning the next step. I know that sounds simple, but real presence is rare, and women feel it instantly. When you put down the phone, look her in the eyes and let silence be comfortable. You send one clear message. You matter to me. Right now, you're the most important thing in the room. That kind of focus is magnetic. It draws her in. Try this tonight. Sit next to her, hold her hand, and say nothing for a moment. Just breathe together. You'll be amazed how the atmosphere changes. Softer, calmer, warmer. Because sometimes the sexiest thing you can do is give her your full attention. Believe it or not, foreplay starts long before you ever touch. It begins with your words, with curiosity, with laughter. Ask her about her day and truly listen. Talk about memories you both cherish. Bring up that trip you took years ago, the one where you got lost and laughed the whole way home. These little exchanges reopen emotional doors. You can even say simple things like, "I thought about you this morning. You still have the most beautiful smile." That's not corny, that's connection. Because when a woman feels emotionally seen, she relaxes, and when she relaxes, her body follows. Remember, for men, arousal begins with the body. For women, it begins with emotion. Now, this isn't about grand romantic gestures or expensive dinners. It's about thoughtfulness. A note left in her bag, a cup of coffee brought to her bedside, a quick text during the day that simply says, "Thinking of you, hope you're smiling." These tiny surprises have a huge effect because they say, "You cross my mind even when you're not around." That kind of attention sparks the feeling of being cherished again. It keeps the flame alive quietly, naturally, and consistently. Desire doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's cultivated. And small surprises are how you keep watering it. Now that you've learned how to slow down, let's take it one step deeper. Because the most powerful communication in intimacy isn't verbal. It's silent. Every sigh, every breath, every subtle shift in her body is part of a language. One that tells you exactly what she's feeling if you know how to listen. When you're truly present, you start to notice things that used to fly past you. The way she leans in when you touch her arm, the way her breathing slows when she feels safe, the small smile that appears when you trace her back or hold her a little longer than usual. Those are signals, invitations. They're her way of saying, "Stay there, I feel connected." If there's one thing I hope you take from today, it's this. Foreplay isn't a warm-up for intimacy. It is intimacy. It's not about performance. It's about presence. Because when you slow down, when you stop trying to get somewhere, you finally arrive right here with her. You see, what women over 50 crave isn't a perfect body or endless stamina. It's safety. It's tenderness. It's the feeling that they're still desired, not for what they can do, but for who they are. And when you give her that, something beautiful happens. The spark that you thought was gone starts to come back. The laughter, the warmth, the connection, they return little by little. Because you're no longer performing, you're sharing, and that changes everything. I'm Dr. Emily Carter. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself and of the one you love. I'll see you in the next video.